Okay, so the plan is I'm gonna touch on the major points in the slide deck, and then we're gonna actually open the syllabus document and go through it that way too, just to catch anything else that I missed. Okay, you're here in CS 222. Welcome. Hi. This class is going to be working in Java. That's the main goal, is to get you up and running in Java. How do we do some really important things that Java lets us do? It's kind of the next step. So if you've taken programming 1, then you can do an additional step and learn here new things that we didn't have time to cover in programming 1. We'll also look at some data structures and algorithms near the end as well to kind of lead you into the other classes that you'll take in the department. In terms of textbook, so the slides were originally based off of a textbook about Java, but we've kind of diverged from there. So there's no required textbook. Man, the wind outside. There's no required textbook. You can get this one if you want. You can also look up any Java textbook or pretty much any object-oriented textbook, and you'll get the same thing. If you need recommendations of, I need a hard copy, come talk to me and we'll go look at the library and see what they have available. The topics that we'll learn are also widely discussed on the internet. So as long as you know the kind of topic that we're looking at, feel free to search on YouTube and have someone describe it to you. Yeah, use the tools you have available. But the moral of the story is there's no required textbook. In terms of what's expected of you, I would like you to please come to class. There are multiple methods of which I'll assess that you come to class and are participating. One of which is just the attendance, so like the name games. The other is we'll have a packet that you should have got. We'll have one packet for roughly each unit that we're working in. And so once we're done with the unit, then you'll turn that in, and that's partly how I'll make sure that you're in paying attention. This class also includes a lot of code writing in class. So make sure that you bring your computer if you can. And generally, if we have code to type, I would like you to be following along. So like on your computer. And then at the end of class, you turn in what you have. So whether or not it's complete or correct doesn't really matter to me. But if you're here and you're following along, you turn that in, and that serves as what we call the active learning. So if you see on Canvas, there's active learning assignments, that's what that is. So some days we have it, some days we don't. I just set them up for all of the class days just in case. And so the idea is you'll turn in some code, and then I'll just give you like 2 points if you did it. 0 points if you weren't here. When you're writing code, it can okay, I took this class when I was a student here, and I remember it trying to figure out, how do I take notes for this class? How do I do things that way? Like you can have a paper and pencil, which are really useful, but you're also coding a lot of the time. So one thing I recommend is bring a paper and pencil to write down extraneous thoughts of these are general things about how we're working. And then when we're actually writing code, if you have questions about what we're doing, write those in comments. And so you can say I copied this down, but I don't understand what we're doing here. And then when you submit that, then I can see that and say, oh, okay, I need to explain this more clearly. So that helps you to be able to take notes and comments on things, and also helps me to understand where the class is at. So that's active learning. I recommend I'll try and end a minute or two early so that you can finish up and turn in the code before you leave, because I think it's due at midnight each day. So if you turn it in before you leave, then you just won't forget about it. The packet that you have in front of you, That's mostly marked for completion as well. We'll just check to see, did you get every problem? Yes or no? Great job. Do we have an extra packet somewhere? Thank you. We'll also have homework assignments. This is the homework I'm kind of revamping this semester. So there may be some moving parts. If you ever need clarification of your like, I don't understand this doesn't look right, just talk to me. And chances are I forgot something. But homeworks will be roughly 1 per unit. I think the only other thing I didn't mention is here, I think we also have a project. Yes, we do have a project. And that will be assigned roughly midway through the semester. And it gives you a chance to use the skills that you've learned and apply it to something fun. We will have a midterm around before spring break. We will have a final exam. The strategy for exams is, unless you have SDS requirements, it'll be in person where you put all your bags at like the front row of the classroom and your phone's on the table. And then it's just pencil and paper, no computers, probably no notes. And yeah, just pencil and paper. That's the strategy. Attendance policy, please show up. If you don't show up, I will mark you down. If you cannot show up, like let's say you're sick or you have some emergency or some other excused absence, just let me know ahead of time and I'll mark that excused. The main message is communicate. This class, there's a lot going on. And this class, I'll also mention, this class is hard. It's a really big step in taking the skills that you learned in programming 1 and coming here in programming 2. It's hard. It's a big adjustment, but I'm here to help you through it. You can absolutely succeed in this class with the skills that you have. The point is to grow. And so I'm just warning you now, like it's difficult, but we're going to get through it. I promise. So the way that you can succeed is if you show up to class, if you communicate, if you come to office hours, or send me an email when you're struggling. Those are like that's the biggest way to succeed. I'll tell you a story. I'm not naming names, but I have the student's permission to share this. There was a student in this class last semester who was a little bit struggling. They were a little bit behind on things. And what they did is they said, hey, professor, I need to just like come in your office and work on things for like 30 minutes after, like every day or after class. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm in my office doing stuff. Feel free. And so the student was consistent of, I'm going to come in and I'm going to work on things. And that way I'm also available if they had questions. And so as a process of doing that, the student ended up getting like the highest possible grade on the final exam. So the moral of the story is show up, communicate. Let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to help and I want you to succeed. Okay, so in terms of late work, first request is please do it by the due date. I'm generally fairly lenient when it comes with late work, but again, you have to talk to me. If you don't tell me anything and it shows up late, then I might mark it down. But if you know that it's going to be late, come talk to me and we'll work something out. So some assignments are going to be group work. So if the groups are assigned, then ask that you work in those groups and collaborate. And especially the lab assignments that we have, those are generally in pairs. So just make sure that when you submit like to Canvas, that you write a comment of here's who I worked with. All right, so for my AI policy,
AI,
hmm?
no AI allowed.
Yeah, preferably. So like obviously I can't control what you do. I can only make a request. But I can explain that this class teaches you a lot of important programming skills of yeah, it's like the next big step in your programming journey. And thinking through that and struggling with that is really important. And so, especially like if you ask AI to, you give it like the problem prompt, it'll give you something that's like reasonably close to working. But if you do that, then you didn't go through the actual like the progress of typing it. I've found that when you are doing code and writing code, actually putting hands to keyboard is one of the best ways to figure out how to do things. So that's my request. Please don't use it. Because the skills that I would like you to learn by actually writing code is like those skills are really, really important. Yeah. If you do end up using it, so maybe you need it to like some things are super tedious. And so if you go to the internet and say, I want just a snippet of code that does this, then I would say that's generally okay, but with the caveat that you have to know what that code does. Of being able to explain this is what this snippet does for a particular purpose. I would like you to be able to explain that. If you do end up using AI for something, you're responsible for two things. The content, which can include like, did any of you hear the story where a lawyer wrote a brief with the help of ChatGPT? Yeah. So this lawyer wrote this thing and said, and used ChatGPT to help write it. And then what ended up happening?
I don't remember what happened.
Yeah. So like, but the brief had, so the AI had like hallucinated, where it made up cases that weren't real. And then they submitted that to the judge, and that's a really big problem. And so the lawyer got disciplined and all that stuff. It's like really, really bad. So the stuff that AI can give you could be false. It could give you incorrect or stuff that doesn't actually exist. So you're responsible for the content if you choose to write something and then turn it in. So you're responsible for checking that each part of it is actually correct. The other part is completeness. So let's say if you use AI to write an essay and it gives you, yeah, sure, here's an essay with points XYZ. But it forgot, but like for maybe for your class, you need to also be sure to mention like points 1, 2, 3 over here. And you need to be able to combine all of that. And so make sure that the content it gives you is actually complete. I have an example. I was working on some problem for fun, and I was like, let's get started with ChatGPT. And it would give me something to get started with, which was useful. But as I kept going, I would be like, oh, wait, that is not an assumption that I made. So I go back and I ask it, hey, can you incorporate this? And it did. And then we got to a point where either the equation that it would give me is correct and the explanation is completely wrong, or the other way around. So sometimes it's really not good at details, really not good at explaining things. So yeah, so if you do choose to use it, be cautious. You're responsible for all the work that you turn in. But I request that you don't use it for this class. All right, The final exam, if you're preparing to book a flight to get out of here after the semester is over, just remember that we will have a final exam and it will be on the Tuesday, from 3:30 to 5:30. So make sure that you double check your final exam schedule, before you book something. Okay. Simple syllabus. All right. Okay, so let's see anything else that I forgot to mention. I have office hours, Mondays 1 to 3, Wednesdays 10 to 12. So those hours I am guaranteed to be in my office, door open, ready for questions. In general, if you have a question outside of those times, feel free to stop by and see if I'm there. If I'm busy, I'll tell you, but generally I'm available for questions or if you want to come work on stuff anytime. If you want to book an appointment to make sure that I'm going to be there, whether you have a question or just want to like chat in general, I have a booking page through Google Calendar. And so I make sure that my Google Calendar is updated. So any of these times, I'm guaranteed to be there. So you can just do that and then it'll fill out the information and then it'll send you an email, it'll send me an email, and then we'll both be there. My office is Galileo 103A. So you walk into Galileo. On the left-hand side, there's a set of offices, there's staircases, then a set of offices. I'm in that second set of offices. All right, let's see. Course description, prerequisites, program learning outcomes. This is just like for computer science as a whole. Yeah, the outcomes for this class are the next step. So we'll look at object-oriented style programming. And we'll also look at some data structures and introductory algorithms. Okay, I talked about being in person, no required text. I talked about the other materials. Oracle, the people who made Java, have these tutorials online. These are like the official tutorials. So feel free to open those up and look at it. There's also millions of YouTube videos and other things. Okay, so I talked about active learning assignments. Sorry, I've been talking all day. My voice is starting to go. We have lab assignments. Those are short, generally in pairs of, I have a goal for you to accomplish, do that. So it's short coding assignments. They're generally graded on test cases passing. So that you write code and then I have a set of test cases where I give different inputs and check if the output matches. And so the idea is if your however many test cases pass, then you get that proportion of points. Not all labs are graded on test cases, but the majority are. Homeworks are more intensive as projects, assignments. Yeah, well, the first homework is really simple as we kind of ease into it, and then it'll ramp up as we have more skills in our tool belt. Do I have a project? I don't even have a project in here. I need to fix that. sorry, I knew I forgot something. Exams, I talked about the format. Project also might go into the homework component. But yeah, I'll communicate more information along that. In terms of our schedule, we'll spend roughly the first week or however long we need to starting the intro Java. This is one of the hardest parts of the class, is just getting started in Java and typing in a language. If you've only taken Python, starting Java is difficult. And so we're here to take as much time as we need to get you acclimated and getting up to speed to do the things that you did in Python to do in Java. So we'll spend maybe 2 weeks on like getting started, and then here's some more things we can do. And then the third week is probably we're looking at how do we get input or send output. It's easy in Python because you can just say input. It's a little bit more difficult in Java. Then this will have a bunch of time to look at object-oriented programming, which is something that Java allows us to do. It's a really important style of programming that you'll need to know going forward. So we'll spend a lot of time on that. That's also reflected by the amount of assignments that we have. So we'll do that. Then for however far we get, we'll have a midterm before spring break. I'll assign the project, and then we have spring break. And then hopefully when we come back, we'll start with recursion, and then we'll look at different data structures that you need to know. And then we'll look at algorithms. So the second half of the course is kind of wibbly because it depends on how fast we go in the beginning. So as things progress, I'll let you know if the schedule changes. And again, the final exam is on Tuesday, 3:30 to 5:30. Okay, so active learning is 10%. The labs and the homework are 40% each. So each of those categories is really important. So make sure you're putting in the time and effort to do well on each of those assignments. And then exams are 10%. The grading scale is just like pretty much every other grading scale you've seen so far this semester. I do request that you bring, so like I mentioned, paper and pencil, but also computer. If you don't have access to a reliable computer, there are offices on campus that can support that and fill that need. I know with like you can borrow a daily laptop through the library, or if you need one for the whole semester. I think the like SDS and the STEM Center partner together to make sure that you have a computer that you can use. So if that's something that you need, reach out to me. Like if your laptop dies next week, reach out to me and I'll connect you to those offices. All right, technology. We talked about AI. Attendance. Make sure you email me and communicate. We talked about late work. We talked about participation, come to class, turn in active learning. For academic integrity, like it's the basics, right? Do your own work and own up to the work that you do, own up to any questions that you have. And that's what I care about. I don't expect you to turn in absolutely perfect code that does exactly what I've asked it. Like I'm expecting that this is a learning process. So do your own work, come with your questions, and we'll go from there. If there is something that comes up then you and I will have to have a meeting, and then depending on how that meeting goes, I may have to escalate it. I don't want to do that. You don't want me to do that, so do your own work. I think the rest is just all the resources and availability things. For inclusive language, be kind. Yeah. Yeah. Be kind to each other. Be nice. And we'll learn as we go. Let me make sure there's nothing else important. Campus resources. Oh, very important. So for student disability services, I am happy to accommodate anything that they send me. If there's something that SDS doesn't know how to provide, but you think that I can accommodate in some way, send me an email. I'm happy to make it work. I want you to be able to succeed in this class, regardless. For tutoring, this is really important. The STEM Center has tutors for this class. So there's a schedule here somewhere. So from the STEM Center website, go to computer science tutoring schedule. The hours are coming soon. But once this page is ready, you can go there and see, oh, this person is tutoring for 222. I'm gonna go there and get help. So there are tutors available. Please take advantage of that. Make a study group for this class and work together to learn and engage. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. Any questions on what we're doing here? Great. All right, let's look at the plan. Okay. Yeah, so in terms of where to get help, come to office hours, go to the STEM Center, make a study group with your peers in the class. Those are some of the best ways to get help and succeed. And I'm always available for questions as well. Okay. It's 4 o'clock. We have until 5. So let's get started. Yeah, so get out your computers if you haven't. And all right, so the first thing we need to talk about, just to get everybody on the same page, is file systems. I have some introductory slides. First, just what is this class about? The main idea is we're taking a data structures and algorithms course. So first up, we're looking at the data structures side, which we explore with object-oriented programming, which is basically how do we write code so we can build stuff? So objects are things we can build in code. And then we look at how do objects connect to each other? How does one object relate to another? That's the main question of the first half of the course. So we'll start with Java basics. So I'm not assuming you know anything about Java. I am assuming that you have a fair knowledge of Python. So if that is not correct, then you'll need to come talk with me and we can work to
Which
get us.
module is this?
We are in the first module. We're looking at the file system of PowerPoint. Did I put that on Canvas? Great.
Yeah, I see 3 of them. Like 222, U1, file systems, PBA.
That's it. File systems. Yeah. So first we'll start with Java basics. Once we learn how to do things in Java, we'll use Java to build stuff. That's the object-oriented side. Once we know how to build stuff in Java, then we'll look at some really common data structures that you need to know. And then we'll look at algorithms, which is how do we do something with the stuff that we've built. You may be wondering, last semester I had some students who were like, why are we doing Java? The reason, well, I'll ask, what programming languages do you know? Like, who's done Python? Great. Anyone done something other than Python? What is it?
R and SQL.
R and SQL, all right. HTML, cool. Or JavaScript? JavaScript, yeah.
C#.
C#. Cool. Yeah, so if you have experience with other programming languages, that will help you in this class because the reason you learn multiple programming languages is you learn one, then you learn the other. That helps you learn the third later on of being able to approach a problem in a slightly different way. It just helps you because if you go into industry, you'll start on a team and they're like, we need you to work in this new language that you haven't seen before. That's a skill that we're hopefully trying to teach you in this class of here's a new thing, and that helps you later down the line when you have to do a new thing. Java is going to work a little bit differently than Python. It's going to look different. Java is picky with syntax. It requires compilation, it requires semicolons, all that fun stuff. So it looks different, but we'll get there together. And yeah, having experience with different kinds of programming languages is really good. Okay, so to get there, first we have to talk about file systems. So if you already know what file systems are and like how to manage files, that's great. But we just need to make sure that everybody gets on the same page. So if you're going to ask what's a file, so I can say like, this is a file. It's the roster list, piece of paper, or maybe like a Word document. Like this presentation is a document that's saved as a file on my computer. And a file is generally any single entity that is on your computer. So whether it's a document, whether it's a picture, whether it's a code file, those are all files. The way that we access them is in a file system. So if you've ever seen like a filing cabinet that holds all this old school information that someone's printed out, that's a file system. And so we imitate that on our computers. The file system it's kind of like if we have a bunch of papers on the desk, either you have nice, neat piles that you know exactly what is going on here, what's going on here, or it's just all one big jumble. Yeah, so the way that we organize files is in folders, also called directories. So like if we, let's pull this up. So let's say I am here in my recents folder. This is just kind of a big jumble of here are all the things that I've been working on recently. So like I've been working on all of these PowerPoints and different documents like for the algorithms class, for this class. This is all kind of the mishmash of files. But in my Google Drive, I have it really organized where I say, this is my folder for everything for this class. So like this is the class that I taught last semester. That's all those files. Here's all the things for unit 1. I have solutions for the assignments and stuff like that. So we can organize it in folders, and this goes for either Windows or Mac. Yeah, so we have folders or directories and subfolders or subdirectories. Because let me see, if I open up fall 2024, then fall 2024, that's a subfolder, and then I have folders within that. So we can go all the way down. File extensions are, if we look at a file, let's say the 222 syllabus.pptx. The file extension is the things after the dot. So where pptx, that's the extension that says, hey, this is a PowerPoint kind of document. A lot of the things we'll be looking at are like .java. Okay, so what I would like you to do is I want you to find a place in your computer where you will store all of the things for this class. I kindly request that you do not put it in your recents folder. So like if I make a new Finder window for me, it starts at recents. Don't put it there. You have to put it somewhere other than recents. So typically it goes in like documents. Or for me, I store everything in Google Drive. And so I have the Google Drive app on my computer. But I would request you like put it in documents and name it CS222 or 222 or something. Make one place where all of your files for this class are going to go. That way, when you're looking for something, like if you're studying for the exam, then you're not like, oh, where's that file? I don't know. Maybe is it here? Is it here? If you save everything in one place, then it'll be better. Yeah. Does anyone, so, okay, so work on that. Do we have an extra packet somewhere? Up there? Okay, so take a second and find the place where this is gonna go and put it there.
Wait, what?
Okay. Did everybody find a place to put it? Cool. Wherever that is, write that down as number 2 on your packet so that you remember where it went. Okay,
Wait,
all right. Take your time.
Mine says next up Java basics.
Right. So I'm in a different
This says unit one Java basics, mine says next stuff.
Right, I've moved to a different PowerPoint. So now I'm in what is this called? U1 Basics.
Right.
Awesome. Oh, wrong. Okay,
Right there. It's-
we'll get there. Okay, so so now we're in unit one. The goal for this unit is we're gonna get started today. Yeah, we're here till 5, so we've got time to make sure everybody has something installed. We're gonna get started and create something and do a hello world. If we get done with that, I'm very happy. After that, we'll look at here's some sort of things we can do just to get started on Java. And then we'll end with the lab assignment, which will take you the next step of actually doing an activity. And as we go, we'll work on the packet. So I'll have, let me see an example. Like we'll have like a little blue star, and that means this is a packet problem. So the goal is as we go, I'll say stuff, and then you have activities, and then I'll say more stuff, you have activities. All right, that's where we're going. For this unit, we have lab 1 and homework 1 those are the assignments. Okay, so let's install stuff. Did anybody not bring their computer today? Great. So we can all install things together. So first we need to download Java. So, did I put this on Canvas? I really hope I put this on Canvas. I did not. Let me add this. Not a discussion page. So this is a link. And then Eclipse. And so, okay, so this page is now published on Canvas. So yeah, so the first step is go to the website called Adoptium. This is something that's called a JDK. You may have Java on your computer that runs things, but we need an additional piece of software to actually write in Java. So Adoptium that's the open source option. So first step is to do that. And then once you do that, if you have a Mac, I can open, so I do command space. That's not, hold on, I want to share my whole screen. No. What happened? Why wouldn't it let me leave? There we go. Yeah, so one way to check if it's installed is to go to a terminal and then say Java -jas version. So yeah. So first go to the Adoptium website, download that, install it.
I need some help.
Okay, yeah, I'll walk around as you. Hold on. Your slideshow. There we go. All right. Yeah, so just download that thing. Yeah, maybe I'll put it up on my computer too. So yeah, so just download the latest thing. It'll give you something, then you just run the installer.
Okay,
It did something. If it says, I don't know what Java it is, then that's a problem. Yes. Download it, yeah. Now you just have to run the install.
Are you, who you want to launch?
Install?
Yeah, download.
Let's go to the main page.
It's not the main thing.
Okay, you have the phone? Okay, I don't know that you'll be able to do it on an iPad,
Excuse me.
than actual computer. Okay, so if
Hey,
you, oh, sorry.
is
So, please put everyone in next. Probably that's fine. Or just go through it. Yep. Now it's different things. We let it sit and then we'll be good to go. All right, so once you're done with that, I know some of you are still finishing up. Once you're done with that, then the next step is to install Eclipse. Eclipse is a way that we write code and compile things that's designed specifically for Java. So let me show you this. So it brings me to this page, and I'm interested in the left-hand side here. And so if I click on download, I've got two options. There's x86 and AArch64. In terms of which version you're going to download, you have to know some information about your computer. If you're on Windows, then you do the x86-64. If you're on Mac, you have to know what kind of Mac you have. So if I go to, like, you click the little Apple logo in the top left, and then go to on the M2 chip. And so, because the way that it came out, so Macs used to be all on Intel. That's one kind of chip. And then the new Macs came out in like 2020 with the new M1 chips. And so if it's M1, then it uses a different architecture. And so you have to choose the AArch64. But if it doesn't say M something, then use the x86 one. Does anyone have questions about which kind they're going to install? Yeah. You're welcome in. Okay, so yeah, so you're probably gonna do Arch. Yeah, if you're on ARM, then it's Arch. If it doesn't work, then
This one, it's the x86, but no, actually, we don't.
The processor Intel core, yeah, that's it. Okay, so once you've decided which version you're downloading, so for me, I'm downloading the Arch version. Then you click on that, and then eventually it'll take you to a page where you hit download. And so if I do that, then it shows up here. I'll press it. I downloaded it before. So then once you download it, then run the installer.
The Eclipse inst theory win64.exe.
Yes. And then, so once you open the installer, it's going to give you a whole bunch of options. Chances are the Eclipse IDE for Java developers is first. That's the one we want. So you click on this and then go through that process. And it might take a while.
Which one?
Eclipse IDE for Java developers. I'll walk around too. And making sure everybody has all the software that we use. Go back to the Eclipse website. Download packaging. What's the version number?
For this?
Yeah. Okay, so in the Eclipse installer page, you can try going to like they have older versions of the Eclipse installer. I would start maybe with like 23 and keep going down. Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing.
My Eclipse is still installing.
Installing, yeah, it sometimes takes a while. I know for me, one time I tried to install it and it took 2 or 3 tries. So if it doesn't install now, maybe take it home and try there. Sometimes that's.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, just a second. Yep. Great. Well. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and then you still have for Mac, you still have like the x86 charge. You can go with x86.
Where do I select for directory?
Go to. Go to application. First one, first thing. So I would just add one of those to like your toolbar.
Yeah.
And that way, like, you can watch the same every time. Any other?
Excuse me.
Yeah. Anyone back here? No. All right, yeah, you're at the spot where I want you.
Wait, but where do I select the directory?
We'll talk about it. Talk about it all together. All right, so I think I have 2 people who don't have it installed yet. So keep working on it. I highly, highly recommend that you have everything installed by the next class. So if you need to come to office hours, come talk to me, find a time, and we'll get you up to speed. Yeah, because this is really, really important. Okay, so you may be asking yourself, now that I've made you install all of this, like, what if you don't want to use Eclipse? VS Code, which is the Visual Studio Code, is also an option for this class. My experience is that for Java, Eclipse is great. It does a lot of Java specific things really well, but the user interface, the UI is kind of clunky. Eclipse does have the plus side of enforcing some Java standards that are important that VS Code kind of doesn't care about. So I like Eclipse for those reasons. VS Code typically just works. So if you want to use VS Code, then that's okay. In class, I'll be demonstrating things with Eclipse. But if you really, really want to use VS Code, then that's okay. But I recommend Eclipse. So that's one of your packet problems of what IDE have you selected to use. So I would recommend that you make a choice now and then stick with it.
What about the directory as workspace?
That's next. Okay, so it'll, when you open it, let me open Eclipse. Takes a bit to load. You'll come up to a dialog box that looks something like this, right? So it'll ask you select a directory to use as workspace. The Eclipse workspace, that's going to be where all of your Java files and projects are stored. So it usually lives, like you'll see, for me, it lives in users and then my username and then Eclipse dash workspace. That's the default where it puts it. Or something similar for Windows. You've got two options. Number one is to just leave it as it is. I recommend this. That's what I do. The only downside is now my stuff's in two places. So I've got my 222 folder that this is where everything goes. And then I've got my Eclipse workspace. So that's the downside. Now your stuff's in two places. The other option is to just store it in my 222 folder, which I have chosen not to do. But if you want all your stuff to be there, choose that. So the big thing is that you need to choose where you want to put it so that you can find all of your stuff. So that's the not the second, but the third packet problem of where is your Eclipse workspace? Because I am choosing to just do the default. And so I would write down this path on my packet. But wherever it lives for you, you write that down. Okay, so I'm going to click launch and then I'm going to walk around. You good?
Wait,
Saying, it's already in use.
It's already unused. What's already used? You have multiple Eclipse? What name open? No. Okay, so this isn't up to you. So maybe close. Any other questions? Problems? Yeah.
what is this?
Folder is active and significantly decrease the startup and overall performance. Choose either one, doesn't really matter. Choose the one that you feel best about. Go for it. 20 minutes left? Yeah. Okay. So hopefully by now you have Java installed, you have Eclipse installed, and you have selected a workspace where your Java code will live. So yeah, so wherever you've saved it, open that workspace and then you click launch. Once you do that, I'll show you what mine looks like. it looks like this, where I've got some stuff on the left, something in the middle, something on the bottom, and some things on the right. So we're going to go through, it's a little bit overwhelming. We're going to go through, here's what each bit means. So, and this is one of the packet problems too. So for number 4 question. It should open on a window that looks kind of like this.
Mine didn't. Click on create a Hello World application. There. And then you can close the tab on the right. That's fine. Yeah, so if it just shows up like, here's some options, just click on Hello World, and then it should bring you to something that looks like this. So when we're over here, you're not gonna have stuff in the left sidebar like I do, just because I've done other Java projects. But the thing on the left is this is your package explorer. So these are where your projects live, all your Java files. That's where they live, where we can access them inside of Eclipse. They live here, and they also live like in a folder on your computer. So let me show you. So I've made a test project folder so that I can show you this. I've got a Hello World file. If I right click on it and I go to show in, and then I go, yeah, so you don't have any Java projects or files yet. But let me just show, I'm just showing you that if I click on System Explorer, it does for real live somewhere on my computer. So the things that you type are going to be files somewhere on your computer. So I'll show you again how to access them, and that's how you like access them so you can turn them in. Okay, so on the left-hand side, Package Explorer. These are where your projects and where your files live. Next is on the bottom, chances are, is the console. Sometimes the console isn't on the bottom. Sometimes you can move these things around too as you wish, but typically it shows up as part of the bottom panel. And there's other tabs here. There's problems, Java doc, declarations, console, and coverage. The one we really care about is console. So for me, I've got the console tab. I don't have.
Let's take a look. Let's see, how do we get there? If you don't, does anyone else not have the console tab? Great, love it. Love it when that happens. Window. Okay, let's take a leap and close my console tab and see if we can. Aha, okay, so chances are you have if like on the top bar, there's window and then show view and then console is there.
Okay, got it.
Does that bring it up for everybody?
Yeah.
Great. Does it not show up for somebody? Amazing. Love to see it. Okay, so if we open that up, then we have console. Great. I'm so glad we did this. Yeah, so currently it says no console to display this time. The console, that's where the output of any code that we write. We write something, then we run it, and if we print anything, that's where the output goes.
that's the other bit for problem 4 on the packet. The big middle space where currently there's nothing, that's the editor. So you're gonna type stuff, that's where you write your code, is this big space in the middle. So you don't have Java programs created yet. I have one, so if I open it, this is what it will look like. It's basically a big text editor, and if you're writing Java files and you type special Java things, it'll turn pretty colors. That's what we really want in life. We want the pretty colors. So yeah, this is basically just the text editor. You can write whatever you want. So those are the 3 main components: the package explorer, the console, and the editor. There's also other stuff on the right-hand side. You can use it if you want. It's not required, but it's maybe useful to you. So like there's an outline. Let me see if I can see, here's an outline of my code. So if I had a lot of stuff in this code, it can show me, here's the different components of your file, which can be useful if you're like, I want to jump to this point or that point. And then there's also task lists. If you are working on something and you're like, I want to do this, you can write it in the task list. And it gives you tools to keep track of what you want to do. These things aren't required, they can be useful. You can also close them if you want. Okay. Everyone's clear on the 3 main things? Awesome. I'm going to do my best to get us to a Hello World program. Some things to know just before we go forward. Eclipse has what we call perspectives. So the default, the one that we start in for everyday code writing, is the Java perspective. We are currently, chances are we are currently in the Java perspective. And the way that you get this is one of the reasons that I hate Eclipse is because there's a very tiny button all the way in the top right that shows you which perspective you're in. So there's a little thing here.
Why click create a Java project yet?
Where are you? Not yet. I'm just explaining, I'm orienting you to the program that we found ourselves in. There's also a Git perspective and a debug perspective. We'll look at those later. Especially the Git perspective. But it's different, like, I'll show you what it looks like. If I click on the Git perspective, then something else shows up and it helps me do a specific thing. But for code writing and stuff, I want to be in the Java perspective. So make sure that we're in the Java perspective. Okay, so we're going to write our first program. Before that, I need to tell you that every Java program has to live in a project. This is one of the things that I don't like about VS Code, is because VS Code doesn't enforce these rules. But in Eclipse, it makes you have every program live in a project. And a project is basically just a folder where all of this code for the project lives. It lives in your Eclipse workspace, wherever you've decided that is. And everything for that project goes in that folder. So we're going to create a project, CS222 in class, or whatever you want to name it. Something that conveys that it's for 222 and it's for in-class code. So all the code that we write in class is going to live here. So for how to create a project, if you just opened it, there chances are there's like create a new project and you can click that and it does it for you. If you already have projects like I do, a way to do that is to, oh, it's raining again. Click File, New. There's multiple ways to get there. This is the moral of the story. So one way to get there is to say File, new, and then Java project. That's one way. Another way is to just do like file, like, for me on Mac, Command N, and that brings up something. And then I would go and select Java project. Or there's this little new handy button in the top left. You can click that and it brings up this same sort of dialog box. Then you click Java project. Okay. So yeah, so somehow get to create a new Java project, and then we go through the wizard where we select, we're making a Java project. That's what we're doing. And then there's different portions. So we care about the name. So I'm going to name it CS222-in class. There's a bunch of stuff in the middle that you can ignore, and then you click finish. So for me, I'm going to name it CS222-in class. And then I'm ignoring all the things in the middle and I'm clicking finish.
No, but I don't. I-
Here, I'll do the walk around. Once you're in your tab. Here, I'll put that. How do it be simple? Yeah. Is everybody else having something similar? No.
You're just gonna change the dash.
Oh, maybe.
I know what that is.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, the dash is not important. All right, did you hear that? Try and delete the dash. Okay. I don't know. Something. Okay, does that work for any other? Does it not work for you? Great. Okay, so now it lives in our package explorer. So, this one I did for demo purposes, but in real life, here it is. The CS222, for me, the dash works, in class. Where this is where all the code that I write for class is gonna live.
Oh.
Yeah, question?
It does needs.
Why are you dragging something? You shouldn't need to drag anything.
I mean, how do I open it?
Do you see it in the package explorer?
Yes.
Great. We haven't, so source is currently empty. There's nothing in there. Because we haven't made another file to work with.
There's one, it says module dash info dot java.
That's fine. Yeah, we can ignore that. Okay, 5 minutes left. So now we're going to create a class. We're going to make our Hello World project. So we're going to bring up the wizard again. And in this time, we're going to select class. So I'm going to do Command N for me. And then one of the options under Java is class. There's a green C. That's the one I want to go with. So if I go next, and then I have a slide saying, so there's different components to this wizard. The source folder should be auto-filled. Don't touch that unless you need to.
For package, we want to put it somewhere. A package is basically a collection of all these similar code files. So I'm going to put it in the package called basics. BASICS in package. So I'm typing words here.
Basics oral.
Sure. It doesn't really matter. This is just a name that you give this. And then for the name, we're going to name it capital H, Hello World. Anything beyond the capital H, I don't really care about. But it should start with an uppercase letter. And so whatever name you give it here, Hello World, that's going to be your file name. So it's going to be helloworld.java. So I'll say hello world. Once I've done with that, then ignore all this stuff for now. Later on, we're going to talk about what that means. Yeah. We'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that. There's a box that you need to check, the public static void main. I would like that. If you don't, that's okay. But try and check that box and then just click finish. So make sure it starts with a capital letter. When I click finish, now here is my file. So we're running out a little bit of time. So to actually get something, we'll start from here next time. But because I want you to be able to say, like, I wrote a program in Java today. I want you to type with this system dot, here, I'll make it bigger. Hold on, I'll be right there. Okay. This is what I want you to type. If you type it all, then it should turn pretty colors.
I can't see.
It's capital S system
System.
dot out dot print PRINT LN and then parentheses, double quotes, and then hello world, and then you end with the semicolon. And once you do that, it should turn pretty colors. There's a, okay, I'll come over there in a second. To actually run it, there's a little green play button. There's other green play buttons, but I want the bigger green play button. And if I run that, then it should print hello world to the console. Again, we're running out of time, so we'll go over this again next time just to make sure that we're all on the same page, because also some people don't have it installed. But if we do this, we should end with hello world. If you have questions, if something didn't go correctly, come talk to me and I'll help you out. The only other thing I need to tell you about this course today is there is a Lab 0 assignment that I would like you to do as soon as possible. Lab 0 is basically, who are you? What classes have you taken? Is there anything I need to know? In particular, I'm looking for does office hours work for you? Are there planned absences that you know that you're going to be missing? Or is there something about your learning style that I need to know? So do that, should take less than 5 minutes, and I would like it by next class. All right, thank you for coming. Have a good evening. Stay dry.
Can I get some?
Yeah.